Hey everyone, thanks for joining tonight. Welcome back. Tonight I'm going to be continuing on the project CreatorSignal that I started last week. That is basically that project that I've started to help me do research for content ideas. I had been doing this through Claude Code over a skill, and I decided to make a Rails app to encapsulate it and see what that could look like. So last week, we got to set up user authentication and registration, and today we're going to kind of build off of that and start looking into some more features and actually start in trying to plug in some of the, at least the groundwork for some AI work inside of the Rails app. So go ahead and share my screen. So this is the dashboard that we created last week. I'm currently signed in. And there's a few things I want to kind of get into tonight as I'm building this. One is in Claude Code. I'm going to be using Opus 4.6 so we can see what that kind of looks like. I've been using it for the past week or so, or since it came out, and have been seeing a lot of good success with it. It's been working really well, so we can demonstrate that. One of the other things I want to cover while here is also taking a look at the other new feature that came out last week, which was Claude Code's orchestration or their agent teams, where you can basically spin up an agent team to work on something. So we're going to cover some of that and some Git Work Trees. So I did a previous video on how to use Git Work Trees, but here we can see it more in action. So to get started, I'm going to pull down the script that I had demoed in that previous video about Git Work Trees. And if you are interested in that script, it's in my Claude Code workflows. You can get a link if you sign up for the newsletter. There's a link in the description. So I'm going to make this, I'm going to put this in bin, create work tree, and paste that in. And I'm going to need to give it access to run. Cool. So let's go ahead and create that. So since I'm going to try to work on a few different things tonight, I'm going to go ahead and spin up a new work tree. So the first argument here is going to be kind of the branch name of what we're doing. So some backstory. This is a linear project that I set up for this work. Basically in between last week and this week, I took some time to work with Claude and break up some user stories or issues into linear so that we can go through them. And so it's kind of top down right now where these PRX7 and 6 are both blocked by the first one, which is setting up some domain models. And so that'll be the first thing we kick off and work through together. So I'm going to go ahead and use that as actually the branch name. So grab this and let's run create work tree. And the database could not start. I don't know, Docker PS. It is up, okay. Let's see if this run's been set up. Does Rails DB migrate? Okay, so that worked fine. So couldn't establish. I wonder if it's something to do with the database name. So let's go to the new. Yep. Oh, that's not going to work super well with the format that linear uses. So let's do RMRF. Let's get rid of that. Let's try that again without linear's version. All right, so bin create work tree, Damien, PRX5. Let's keep it more simple with that. Okay, there we go. Now I was able to create the database fine. The port conflict, I didn't give it a separate port, but that's fine. I don't really need to run it right now. So one of the other arguments the script has actually is a port, but I didn't provide that at this moment. So that's okay. I also didn't really set up the work tree include. So if I go open up the split, CreatorSignal, here we go. So I don't think, no, it didn't actually bring one. So I want to show that. Great. All right, perfect. It did something like that, even though it didn't have a Git Work Tree include file. That's because it kind of looks for some sensible defaults if you don't have one. Great. So if we go into that work tree and that's fine. So here we have a separate kind of checkout almost for this project where we can run a feature in isolation from another model. And let's see, what MCPs is it complaining about? Linear needs auth, but this one's connected, so I think we're fine. Cool. So this issue here, the first one, PRX5, is all about setting up some of the groundwork for the setup. So essentially creating a base tool. Actually, let me take a step back. So what we're trying to work on tonight is building out the tooling that the LLM can use as an agent to do some research for us. So what I've been doing is, say I have a topic of a video I think would be worth making. I have a skill that essentially goes and searches the web. So it goes and searches Reddit. It will search Hacker News. It will search X and also YouTube, and basically kind of take a look and see, like, are people talking about this topic? Do people seem like they have questions about this topic? Is there a need for it? Also, is it a saturated topic? Like, are people making a lot of videos on it and there's not really an opportunity to make it there? Or is there a lack of opportunity there, lack of content there, so it's worth making a video? So essentially going through all of those things and kind of compiles back a report of kind of like what kind of the community sentiment is on a topic. And then I'll kind of decide whether or not to make a video off of that. And so in order to port that out of a skill, we need to create some tools that the LLM can use. So I'm going to be using Anthropic's Claude models for this. And this is going to define kind of the base of the tool so that the different research pieces return a similar response that we can aggregate against. And so that's what this is going to do. So the goal, hopefully for tonight, is to get that done and at least get some progress on PRX7, which is the EXA research tool, which goes against Reddit and Hacker News, and then PRX6, which would do some YouTube research. And then PRX14 is a set up a waitlist, and that's more of a side project that we can kind of kick off and see how it goes. So with that in mind, what we're going to do is I'm going to grab this linear issue ID and put this into plan mode, shift tab twice, and help me implement PRX5. And so with that in mind, as you can see, there's some detail here because this is went through some kind of pre-planning with Claude in a separate session. So a lot of this is a little bit built out and ready. So we're going to go ahead and kick that off. So while it comes up with a plan for that, yes, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pull down this issue too. And that's what part of why I wanted to use work trees. And so I'm going to do bin create work tree in PRX 14. So this issue is that last week we created a session page to log in and some user registration. I'm not really ready for people to sign up for this. It's still a work in progress and more for me to use, but maybe eventually can be turned into a SaaS platform for other people to use. So with that in mind, I don't really want people registering just yet, given that there's nothing really for them to do. And so I think I want to set up a waitlist. And so this feels like a small enough issue that can be worked on in parallel with the other work. So hence the work tree. So Damien, PRX 14, Claude. And so here we're going to spin this up to come up with a plan for this as well. Again, plan mode, shift tab twice. Help me implement PRX 14. And so that will set up some research there. And now we have both of these essentially running in parallel right now. So again, that's the power of kind of Git Work Trees, is to be able to spin up multiple streams of work at the same time with Claude Code or whatever agentic tooling you're using. It's not really specific to Claude Code, and let you work on that. And so, especially in this scenario where one is a bit of a meteorish problem that we're trying to solve, the setting up the framework for the tooling, whereas the waitlist is a pretty low risk situation. So I think we can kind of send that off and have it work on it. While that's been happening, the first research or plan mode is almost done, it looks like. So it's coming up with its plan. Let's see what happens. So in the meantime, while that's wrapping up, we can prep for later the agent teams. So in order to do this, this is a experimental feature, so we have to actually enable it. And we can do that by modifying our settings.json file. And we just need to add this to the env. So we can grab that. And there we go. So now, next time I start a Claude session, we should be able to start an agent team. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later when we get there. So let's see. This one has a good understanding of the code base for the waitlist. Great. And this one's still working on its plan as well. So we still have a little bit of waiting to do there. Should be done soon. Okay. Curious if anybody else has tried agent teams yet. I've used it a couple times with some good results. Let's see what it's up to. Okay, it's reading through lots of files. Here's the plan it has so far. Great. Okay. So one of the other interesting things I think they released was, actually, while we wait. So one thing I haven't done yet is, right now I'm basically just telling it to use the linear issues. I haven't used any skills or anything like that to like define a workflow. So that's something we can maybe look at once we get further along. And that's funny. Today's tip: use Git Work Trees to run multiple Claude sessions in parallel. Yes, we are. Verifying a couple details before writing a final plan. Okay. Factory lint test exists with traits 2. Now I have everything I need. Let me write the final plan. Great. And this one is verifying as well. So we're getting close. So some of the other pieces that are in here, aside from this, like I said, we have EXA research, YouTube research is going to be setting up an X or Twitter research tools as well. And we're going to pass these all into a research agent to pass in and take an idea and go ahead and do that. All right, here we go. We have a plan. So fairly comprehensive plan. So it's going to come up with some domain models, agent tool interfaces, and structured output schema. So the app currently has a user model for authentication. PRX5 establishes the core domain, ID validation, structured output schema. Yep. So add the JSON schema gem. Following TDD refactor. Okay, great. So it's following Claude MD that I had set up last week, which is told it to use TDD. I explicitly did not say that as part of the prompt. I just said implement this issue because I wanted to see if it did that, and so it did. Add the JSON schema gem. Like, I've heard of that one. 2 months ago. Okay. JSON schema validator. Cool. Okay, so this is for validating a JSON schema. Makes sense. Okay. As the name says. And run bundle install. Okay, so it's going to create the ideas migration for a user ID, a title, a description, and a category. Okay. That works for me. Additional indexes, status and category. Okay. Create validations migration. So this is validations. Okay, so this is going to be the verdict of whether or not we think it's worth doing. Some raw research, synthesized report, status. Okay. And then the model. Okay, so enums category. So for this, that makes sense. I think one thing I would like to see here while reviewing this plan is to use Rails PG. Rails 8, might be 7, has support for Rails enums. So we should be using that instead of strings here. Because what were the categories again? Make sure it's not going to be something that might change and it'll be painful later to modify. Where were they? Pending. All right, category AI coding. Actually, I don't want to actually do this because the category might be different. That's very specific to me and my use case, but as other people use it, that may not be applicable. So we'll leave that out. Leave that as a string that somebody can modify. And what else? We have a status. Yep, for draft. Status can definitely be an enum. And similar, so we're using status for the validations. So yep, that makes sense. User model has many ideas. Good. Some factories. Yep. Services tool base. And create tool stubs with real tool definitions, name, description, and required fields, but call raise is not implemented. Okay, so it's gonna go ahead and kind of set up some stubbed tools that we'll come back to later. That's fine. And some schema validation. Okay, I think this is, okay, verification, bin Rails DB migrate, yeah. Cool, I think the only thing, oops, all right, I hit the wrong button. I meant to tell it to move to enums. I can tell it after the fact. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and actually put this in auto accept mode while we move on to the waitlist. So let's go ahead over here and review this plan. And it says, I've verified all the critical. I have a couple of questions before finalizing. Okay, should we send an email conversation when someone joins the waitlist? That's a good question. I think for now, no. I think that is something we want to do, but I don't want to have to deal with setting up emails right this moment. And after someone successfully joins the waitlist, where should they land? Same page with Flash, dedicated, I think 2, dedicated success page. And I think what I'm going to do in the meantime is after a user signs up on the waitlist, send them a confirmation email. So we'll put that in the backlog as something to do later. All right, so got it. No email and a dedicated success, please. Great. Let's go here, bundle. Yep. Should probably actually add that to the .claude settings JSON. It should not need to ask me to bundle every single time. Bundle install. So adding this to the permissions allows so that I don't have to always approve this. And also not doing it in the local, because if I did have someone on my team, I would want them to have the same experience. And just double checking, generated migration, perfect. And yes, go ahead. And swapping back over here to the wait list, let's take a look at Claude's plan. CreatorSignal has authentication registration, but we're not. Yep, that's what I said. Create a waitlist entry model and controller. Replaces sign up routes with a waitlist form and redirect old registration URL. Yep. System spec red. Migration. Before action. Yep. Join the waitlist. Brief description. Great. This is all pretty straightforward. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes, clear, and auto accept edits. All right, so while that's going, Rails DB migrate. Yeah, again, this is not one that needs to be, I'll say yes. Claude settings. Let's go ahead and .claude settings.local. Right, okay, so let's do a couple things here. So one, that was actually in that work tree branch, not this one. So I need to do CreatorSignal PRX5 settings local. And yes, all of these should be allowed. Maybe not generate. I'll probably leave that one out. Okay, so next, one of the other things I want is to set up that .work tree include. And as part of it, I want .env, .test, no, not that. Config master key. And I want to include .claude settings.local.json. So that way any customizations I make to my local actually do get pulled over when I make a work tree. And that should be a good list. Let me double check my example work tree include. Those aren't applicable for me. I did this. And yeah, okay, perfect. So there we go. So that will go ahead and include that next time I make a work tree. So let's do git Claude. Let's go ahead and commit each one of these settings.json. And here we go. All right, so well, more reasonable tools. Oops. By default. Git status. All right, git add bin and git add .work tree. Bin create work tree. I just want to double check that that's what it's called. Work tree included. Yeah, great. And okay, set up bin create work tree. Cool. All right, I'll go ahead and push that. And all right, so that's still going. Let's double check our over here. Rails generate migration, create waitlist. Yes, you can do that. So how's this been going? It's been going through, wrote a system, nope, yeah, system test, made some models, okay. Run the migration. So we can see here we're making good progress on two separate workflows. Bin Rubocop, that's another one that needs to be added to that. Code CreatorSignal PRX5.claude settings. Yep, that one's already up there. Rubocop. Jeez. All right. Yes. Okay, so this side is done. It created all of these things. Rubocop passed, RSpec passed. Okay, so great. Have a sub agent do perform a code review that ensures we are following Rails best 8 plus best practices, as well as patterns like Pooter, which is practical object-oriented design in Rails or Ruby, solid, etc. All right, so that one's done already. This one is running some tests. All right, so this one's running through code review. And this one's all green as well. Great. All right, so I'm going to basically tell it the same thing, which was have a sub agent perform a code review. Ensure we are following Rails 8.1, 8 plus best practices, following Booter, and solid, etc. So repeating myself a bit there will do something about that and set up maybe a skill for that as well. While we're waiting for that to go, I have one published. Maybe use that as a starting point for the code review. Let's see, plugins. It would probably be under Rails Toolkit, either skills, that's linear implement, commands, full code review. Yep. Yeah, that's a good one too. Okay. Yeah, we can borrow from some of this. I think Agent Teams is actually probably a good example of doing code review because you can have two separate agents running in parallel to do that. Here's this. So we're about 30 minutes in and we're almost done with 2 features, which is nice. And granted, one was just some boilerplate setup, but still. Now, probably when I build these pieces out, I should have moved these to in progress. When building these out, I'm going to go ahead and actually I'm debating, am I going to use the Anthropic gem or something like Ruby LLM? I think we'll use the Anthropic gem, and if we feel like moving over to Ruby LLM, we can just to kind of demonstrate kind of what it is like to interact with these APIs directly instead of a wrapper library. I think it's maybe a better learning experience that way. All right, so that's there. Okay, this was a smaller diff, so let's see, code review summary, issues. Okay, we have some high. Post uses a redirect silently drops form data. Redirect from post issues a 301, which browsers follow as a get. Silently using, consider routing a controller action instead. Okay, let's take a look at what it's talking about. Git add -n. Okay, so the waitlist entries controller. Yep, that's fine. New, save. I don't see anything wrong there. And that's the only controller that we really have, so I don't know what it's talking about there. Medium, no rate limiting. That's true. Rails 8 does have that, so okay, I'll have it do that. And duplicate tests across 2 files. User's new redirect test exists both in the waitlist spec and the user registration. well, that's not really redundant. There are two different scenarios. One is the waitlist and one is user registration. Model spec structure and consistency. The spec groups tests under validations, describe normalizations, is flat. Should match for consistency. I agree about that. I agree with that. Positives. Yep. Okay. I don't. All right. So let's implement some rate limiting for the waitlist controller using Rails 8 built in. Number 3 is not, doesn't really matter, and let's solve 4. All right, so it's gonna go ahead and do that. Let's go back to switch over to PRX5. It had a critical validation. Model name shows Rails internals. Well, it doesn't technically shadows Rails internals. Oh, yeah, that's true, I guess. It creates cognitive friction and future risks. Rename to idea validation or validation result. Yes, that makes sense, actually. Good catch there, code review. Important. Class method only design prevents per invocation state. Yep. I don't. Vim base. So basically that tool name is a class, and well, tool name and tool definition are fine, and then call can always instantiate, so I don't see an issue with that. Hard-coded tools, open close. Adding a tool requires modifying the registry. Consider self-registration via inherited hook, or keep it explicit. Ooh, I like that idea, actually. And 4, tool definition returns immutable hashes, and I recall, memorize like this, okay. That makes sense. Also, inverse of declarations. With strict loading enabled, inverse of has one validation, belongs to idea, ensures proper in-memory association caching. Okay, minor, factory defaults, duplicate model defaults, yep. Missing duration, edge case. Schema specs, build valid data should be shared helper. Registry, hard codes, EQ5 tool account. Okay, I like a lot of these. All right, so let's solve the following. 1, I agree is critical. Let's rename to idea validation. 2, tools base. No, we don't need to do that. 3, yes, let's make this utilize self-regis as suggested. 4, yes. 5, yes. 6, randomize the schemer in the schemer validate. Yes. 7, empty hash means exists but empty versus nil. Consider whether nil is more semantically correct for raw research synthesized report. I agree. Nil is a better fit. 7. So 8 doesn't really matter. 8, 9. I think 11. Yes. Nested arrays schema lacks item types, constraints, top videos, threads. All right, and then shared example, a tool won't age well. Rename to a tool. Fair. 13, yes. And false in tool. All right. Great. That was a lot of good findings by that code review. All right. Let me check the user. Okay, so back over here and Rails limiting, rate limiting. So it's trying to rate limit. Rails 8 rate limit. Yep, okay, so that's how that works. All right. So again, another example of like is code review that really helps with these things. I'm gonna actually interrupt this real quick because it's trying to create a new migration to rename this, and now it's doing it safely because of strong migrations. Um, this migration is brand new, and we introduced this table in this session. There's no need to create a new migration to rename the table via rename table. Go ahead and remove that second migration, and let's just update the existing one. Don't forget to roll back before you modify the migrations, though. All right, so over here we did rate limiting, and we did that. So let's take a look at this diff while that's going on. Let me make sure it's not waiting for me. Yes, okay. Git diff. All right, so we've got rate limited to 5 within 1 minute, only on create. That's perfect. We are normalizing the email, validating it. Great. We have all of this. And waitlist entries, created that, yep. Registration spec. Okay. I feel pretty good about this. Create a commit and make a PR. Okay. Did it roll back far enough is the question. Oh, I guess it did. Okay, great. All right. So that got itself under control. Good. So even with auto accept edits, it's good to keep an eye on things to make sure you catch when something might be going off the rails. Because it's bound to happen. Not that it would have been crazy, could have caught it in code review, but better to catch it sooner than later. All right, let's go to GitHub. Creator. Let's do one more. Do one more pass through on this code. Looking good. Yeah, okay. That looks good. The only thing I didn't do was maybe spin up the server myself. So bin dev, let's do port equals, I think we're running on what? 3000. Let's do 3001. Whoops. Bin dev. So let's look at here. Okay, don't have an account, join the waitlist. Perfect. Looks good. And let's put an email. PlusTest@gmail.com. You're on the list. Awesome. Rails C, waitlist.all. Is that not what it's called? PRX14. Oh, did I mean waitlist entry? Yes, I did. Yes, it did. Cool. Works. Ship it. Let's go over here. All right, CI still running. Let's go check on our other. Oh, there it is. It's all done. Sounds good. Rebase and merge. Let's go. All right. One thing down. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. So now that I'm done with this work tree, I'll do Git Work Tree, remove, period. And I like to do this to just basically close it all out. So one feature down. Let's go ahead and move this. I don't have it connected to Git, so it's not going to automatically move to done. So I'll go ahead and do that. Cool. So one fun thing I thought we could do is have a little experiment with agent teams. What happened here? Yes. Allow RuboCop. All right, so let's get up. Perfect. So pin, create work tree, and we're gonna do essentially landing page design. All right, so now this time around it found, that I had a work tree include. So I went ahead and linked the .env, the config master, my settings local, and all of that. So we're good to go now this time. What I didn't do was set up a port, which I should have, but I forgot. So cd CreatorSignal Damien landing page. All right. So just to confirm, we have Claude settings. We have agent team set up. Yep. All right. So Claude, yes. I forget. That's high voltage gem. I feel like this will be a good use case for this, at least while we do this. So high voltage is a gem by Thoughtbot that lets you build out static pages and just visit them under app views pages. So let's go ahead and add the high voltage gem to this project. I could probably just run gem install myself, but why not? Yep. How's this going? Okay, great. I'm gonna have this come over here because I want to wrap this up. High voltage gem. All right, perfect. So I want you to spin up and delegate to, actually, before I do that, so what I'm thinking to catch you up is I want to set up, right now we have a fairly vanilla kind of landing page here. Just, oops. Oh, I need to go to the main one. Hang on one second. Creator, bin, Rails DB, migrate. Cool. All right. So fairly vanilla kind of landing page here. Well, actually, I'm signed in. Here it is. Fairly vanilla landing page here. And I want to maybe explore what some different options are to do that. So one, I want to add the front end design skill, and I'm going to need to find that Claude Code front end design skill. Perfect. Here it is. And the way to add this, it might actually just be plugin. Oh, there it is. Yeah. It's one of their official ones. So this is a really good skill or plugin for, I want this for all collaborators on this, on this project. Well, as the name implies, setting up front-end design. So before this, if you ask Claude Code to generate, say, some design on its own, you can sometimes get some very vanilla things or very repeated things, and it actually does a pretty good job implementing some nicer designs and nicer visuals. So gonna go ahead and add that front end. Let me exit just to make sure that that is caught. So now I want you to spin up a agent team of, let's say, 3 agents. You are to delegate to them as a creative director. With the high voltage gem, have each agent design a unique landing page for this application, CreatorSignal. And then the one thing I want to do as part of this, I don't think I have that anywhere, is bring my docs for it. So find my PRD for CreatorSignal in my Obsidian vault. It should have that. Let's see. Okay, good. So I wanted to bring that PRD so it has that context for when it designs these pages so that it can see. All right, so perfect. AI content. Yep. Okay, now with this context in mind, I want you to spin up an agent team of 3 agents. You are to delegate to them acting as a creative director. The goal is for each agent to implement a unique design for our landing page. These pages should live as a high voltage static page until we have decided on the winner to implement on the home page. So basically setting it up so it sets up an agent team. I want them to implement kind of 3 different designs in parallel on their own, and we'll review what they come up with. So let's see. Make sure that this kicks off properly before we switch back. So it's going to do some exploration. So since it's going to do that, let's come over here. I can close this. I can close this. Actually, no, I want to actually git add. I want to review what we have here. So idea, yep. I have a feeling this will maybe change at some point. It's very tailored to my research topics and categories, but that's fine for now. And this is fine, actually. Validates title presence. I mean, it's using strings right now, but I'm not too fussed about it that it's not using Rails. PG enums. Validates presence true. Good. We've got a status. This all seems good. This is our JSON schema for a validation result from a tool for the Anthropic API. So informing how we want the format to come back from the API. We've got, okay, so here we can, here we can see how it ended up doing the auto registry. So instead of having to manually do this inside of a tool, we use the inherited hook from Ruby and just register it when it happens. So we get that for free now. Very nice. Get another good call for from the code review agent. These are just the schemas. There's the tool registry. I think this is all pretty good. Yep. It's like a couple minor things that you could maybe change, like for instance, maybe, where is it? Like this could probably be a constant, but nothing crazy. I don't think it's necessarily worth going back and forth on. So I think we're good. Commit this and open a PR. So here we go. All right, so it's going to create 3 distinct design directions and delegate each to an agent. Sounds good. Now let me create the task and spawn the agents in parallel. All right, so yeah, so when you spin up an agent team, it's going to set up the new task. All right, so design A is a bold, dark theme landing page. Okay, I like that. And design B is a clean, minimal light theme landing page. And C is an energetic gradient creator focus landing page. Cool. So let's see where that agent team ends up. Oh, here we go. Okay. Let me close this. So what just happened is, by default, the agent teams have a different view based off what happens. So when you ask for an agent team to spin up, you actually have the ability to interact with each individual agent. So that's kind of the difference between, say, sub agents would just kind of run in the background. You don't really have any control or can't really interact with them. But in this case, the agent teams, you can actually see exactly what they're doing, interact with them, and go through various things. So by default, it detected that I'm in TMUX and used TMUX splits to show me each of the agents. So we can see on the left panel here, we have basically the main session that I had kicked off. And then on the right, and actually on the bottom, you can see main, designer A, designer B, designer C. And on the right, we have 3 splits, 1 for each. And it's actually labeled right here, designer A, designer C, designer B, designer C, and designer A, that's pretty cool to see in practice. So let's run that. Let's go back over here, see how this is going while those agent teams work. And so other uses for agent teams include, let's say you wanted to break up work, front end versus back end work. You could do something like that. So spin up an agent team where one agent's working on the front end, one agent's doing the back end, things like that. And they can all kind of basically interact and coordinate with each other while the main agent is kind of delegating between them, which is pretty cool. And so I think it's really important to kind of like just understand, like, okay, how can I potentially split this work up? And it's not really much different than, say, if you were an engineering manager or like a staff engineer or, a team lead, something like that, someone who's just in charge of like figuring out like, okay, I have this work that I want to do. How can I maybe break this up so that multiple people on the team can work on it? But at this point, as an agent. So we have 3 agents working on 3 different designs right now as well. Of course, you have to be careful because with this, I'm definitely using my usage for Claude Code. So there's that to be potentially worried about, but we should be okay. Oops. There we go. Yep. So while those agent teams are going, I will come over here and look at the pull requests. That's still going. PR created pull 9. It's just out of date. Oh, there it is. All right, great. Oh, there's some conflicts. Looks like there are some conflicts with main. Rebase and resolve them. All right. Oh, here we go. Permission requests. Oh, okay, I see. So over here, it's asking for permission through the main agent to write that file. Cool. I like how they're differently color coded. So designer B is green, designer C is this orangey color, and designer A is blue. It's kind of cool. They all loaded the front-end design skill. Looks like designer C finished. Is that right? Based off this check mark. 1 down, 2 in progress. All right, cool. So let's see. Let's go to code. Let's see what it has so far. Z, creator, Damien, landing page, bin, port. Let's do that again. 3001. There's no index. I need to know what the LS app view pages. Design C HTML. So I think it's pages / design C. There it is. All right. So this is the gradient. What did it say? Creator focused one. This is actually pretty cool. I kind of like this. Founding member responsible. Be the creator who knows before everyone else. Founding members lock in the lowest price for. And it even incorporated our waitlist, which is cool. All right. Go refine kill. Stop guessing. Start knowing your AI content strategy that researches across YouTube, Reddit, X, and Hacker News. And I'll tell you if you're cool. Again, some of this is very specific to my use case. It needs to be a bit more generalized, but a pretty good start for it. I like the call outs that it made. This is pretty sweet. So let's see, how are our other designers going? Might be waiting for permission. Nope, not yet. No more available design CSC. Okay, great. Let's see how the merge conflicts are going over here. So you can see it's a bit of bouncing between things to kind of keep track of what's going on. But really nice to be able to work through multiple things at once. Let's double check this. Yes, it determined that the higher number needs to be the one. Perfect. So, how is our team doing? Pretty good. Designer B still going. So is designer A. Yes, force with lease. So if you just joined, I have an agent team coming up with 3 different landing pages for our app. And so far 1 is done. It looks pretty good. And all right, so this is rebased and resolved. All right, let's see. So CI can actually run. All right, looks like we're almost done with B, so that's nice. Do one more pass through this code review. Already looked at this in the terminal, but just to make sure. So registry, we're registered our tool. These are all, okay, this is how you find a tool, okay. I think this looks good. It's already 9:03, so I'm not sure how deep we'll get into the tools themselves, but we'll at least get started. All right. Once CI is done, we can merge that. All right, so let's go, let's see, what's the name of this file? I should have known, B, all right. Let's open that, go to B. So this is the minimal version with a light mode. This is also quite nice here, depending on the style we're going for. Your AI content strategies know which ideas will work before you hit record. Everything you need to decide with confidence. Another really solid landing page, I think, for this. So I'm pretty happy with the results and the two variations so far. So we've got this one and this one. Yeah, exactly. The goal is the goal was kind of twofold. One, to demonstrate agent teams. So sending them in parallel to work on something. So on the left, we have the main agent Claude Code session that I had started. And essentially, I gave it a prompt to come up and delegate to 3 designers as separate agents to come up with different style themes for a landing page so that we can look at and maybe decide which one to use. A/B testing is also an option. That's not a bad idea also to see like, okay, which ones kind of resonate or get people on board. But yeah, that's kind of the plan, was to see what we got from 3 different agents. So agent or designer A is wrapping up its design as well. So let's see. And here is the dark mode version. This one is probably my least favorite of them, but pretty cool nonetheless. I kind of like this side. This typography, though, is a little odd. But cool to see Claude come up with these really different designs for this. And each one, as you can see, is very unique compared to the other. I do like the darkness of this one, but yeah, I think these two were probably my favorites of them. And yeah, so I think that was a pretty good look using those agent teams. So each of these came up with a different solution. I don't know which one I'm going to pick right now. I think what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to commit these all and save them. And so in case you missed it, this was all powered by the front end design skill, which is here. So you can easily get that if you're looking for it by running /plugin inside of Claude Code. And well, it's already installed, but if you were under Discover, you would find it. For me, it's installed. It's called Front End Design. It really does give Claude Code much better ability to generate different designs instead of kind of before this skill, you'd see very generic pages and very repeated patterns whenever you ask Claude to design something. So definitely check out that skill if you haven't before. So git add gem file. Let's commit all of these all. Actually, you know what? Let's see. If I gave it some feedback, I find the typography hard to read on design A. Otherwise, it looks pretty good. These all look great. And how is GitHub doing? Okay, so this one's finished. We can go ahead and rebase and merge this. And great, so we can exit out of this session. And so we've been working inside of Git Work Trees. This was one of the work trees. So I'm gonna do Git Work Tree, remove, and exit. Oh, I need to do dot and exit to kill that work tree. Okay, let's see, it's changing the font. The main readability issue I see is JetBrains mono spaces used for too many text elements. Okay. Cool, so we've got that. We did the tool setup. So if we go back to linear, this is also done. So we got 2 of those things done today. Let's start with the EXA research. So the EXA research is basically supposed to take an idea and send it it provide a tool to the agent to be able to basically go ahead and do some searching, say across like Reddit and Hacker News to verify, see sentiment on an idea to verify whether or not it's useful to proceed on making a video for. So let's go ahead and kick this one off. While we do that, see creator. So bin create work tree PRX7 extra research. And I think I want port, cat bin create work tree. How do I specify the port again? Dash port. Dash port 3002. Oh, I need to pull up. All right, let's try that again. Okay. Why did that fail? Oh, port did not work. It's tried to start on 3000. Okay, we'll have to look into that. But nonetheless, if we go here, code, C, CreatorSignal, Damien, and he jumped PRX7. Okay, so let's set up, before we start, inside of here, let's test out a new skill, Claude skills, implement. I'm going to do linear implement. The main reason I do that is just in case I change providers, if I need to recreate the skill, I don't have to worry about the name. It's easier to kind of iterate on. So name, linear implement. Description, skill to define a workflow to run whenever implementing a linear issue. Trigger when user, I don't even think we really need that. I think if I just say that, that should probably be enough. So workflow, So the first thing I wanted to do is fetch linear issue details via the linear MCP. And for me, if I open up Claude /MCP, it's actually using this one. So specifically, get issue is called that. To come up with a plan to implement using TDD. Oops. Ask any clarifying questions necessary. Never guess on functionality. 3, once you have completed your work, have a sub-agent perform a code review. Code review should ensure that the app is, I'll just say C code review below. Implement any reasonable feedback received. And then we should also to update linear issue to be in progress. And I think that's at least a good step. Hey, Sumit. Good step to get started on implementing this. And yeah, we didn't have a skill before, so let's see how this works. All right. So let's launch Claude. And let's go ahead and run this guy, put it in plan mode. Let's implement PRX7. Kill this. So while it goes ahead and loads that up, let's check the status of our other landing page. So let's see, how's this going so far? Kind of looks the same. This is the right one, right? Yeah, A, okay. Yeah, I don't see much of a, I'm gonna go ahead and auto accept difference here. All right, so yes. So it's got the full issue details, gonna understand the patterns. Yep, great. All right, so let's see, bumped body contrast. Yeah, that's not quite it. I just don't like the font. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and have it. You know what? Actually, one last thing. Let's give it one more shot. Let's tell it. What font is this? This is computed. Sign. Oh, interesting. I think I just don't like the font. All right, so it's got a thorough understanding. Let me read the existing access search stub and its current spec to see what's already in place. Yep, spoiler alert, there's nothing in place. It's just a stub. All right, let's see. Aha, okay, see, that's better. There we go. I can get behind that a little bit more. I don't know if I like it still better than the other two options, though. Less than 60 seconds. That's some bold claims it's making on this landing page. Yep. I do like this animation, though. But these are still, I think, my favorite. I think this one might be closest, except for maybe some of these cards. All right, scenes framework, great. Great. Let's commit these and open a PR. How's our plan mode over here going? Pretty good. All right, since we're still waiting for those, let's go ahead and creator bin create work tree. PRX, what was it? Let's go ahead and spin up yet another work tree for PRX6. 6, YouTube. Port last time didn't work, but we'll try it again just in case. So spinning up a new work tree for this, yeah, it's still not. I gotta look at that script. That's fine. So cd creator dash Damien dash PR. Yep, 6. That's what I want. Great. Because that's still in, we can symlink it actually. So because we're still in Claude skills, ln-s slash ln-s code CreatorSignal, and I want it from this skills, not Claude skills, linear implement to here. Great, so now we have that too. All right, let's spin up a research for this also. And run both of those at the same time. All right, so in the EXA research one, it is researching their docs. Great. this was the high voltage one. I can kill this server. I don't need to run that anymore. Go ahead and push that PR up to be created. And okay, checking that HTTP. All right, so okay, this one's actually updating into in progress, which is funny because the other one I don't think did that. So we'll see if it's just because it's in plan mode or not. But it did not move PRX7 into in progress for whatever reason. We'll see if it does it at the end instead. So for anybody just joining, these are what we did so far. Was we set up some scaffolding for an interface for what these tools should look like. These are tools basically that we're designing to pass to an LLM to act as an agent with the goal to essentially research a topic that I'll use for, say, if I have an idea for a video. What I've been doing before is setting up a Claude skill that fires off and searches Reddit, Hacker News, YouTube, things like that to see if it's worth making this video. And depending on like if people are talking about the topic, if there's what the sentiment's like on it, if it's a saturated market. So searching for YouTube to see if other people have already made a lot of content around this and how it's been performing, finding outliers, maybe if it's like, okay, that's a good video worth making. So I've been doing that all through Claude Code, and instead I'm trying to build this into a Rails app that I can leverage and have a UI on and potentially open as a SaaS product for other people to use as well. So what we've been doing now is we're kicking off the tools to power that. So one is using Exa for searching the web. The other in PRX6 is going to be one to search using the YouTube data API to find information there about content to help validate our research. And then the other kind of side quest we went on was using agent teams where we spun up basically a team of 3 different design agents using the front end design skill. And that was the landing pages we were just looking at. So basically I asked a main agent to spawn an agent team of 3, and they each implemented a unique landing page design. And each one is very unique, very different from the other. And that's what we had here. So that's where we're at so far. So we're working through, we've basically merged 2 pull requests now so far, and are working through now these tools. All right, so here's one plan ready. So this is the Exa search plan. So let's take a look at what it came up with. Research agent needs a tool to search Reddit and Hacker News for topics, decisions to gauge community interest, and identify pain points. A Exa stub already exists from PRX5 with tool name, tool definition, but call raises not implemented yet. No HTTP client gem exists in the project. Webmock is already configured for testing. So the plan, 1, it wants to add the Faraday gem. So alongside the other runtime gems like JSON Schemer and Sidekick. That seems fine. Split shared example for tool tests. So the current tool shared example includes a test that call raises. Once Exa search is implemented, that breaks split into a tool and a tool stub. That's funny. So that's why, so actually, funny enough, you're just catching up. Previously, it was called a tool stub. And when I had an agent do code review, it was like, hey, tool stub may not be the best name because that's not going to last long. But it turns out the original agent had a good plan for calling it a tool stub. So it'll rename it back to that. Then it's going to add behaves like a tool stub for the remaining specs. Update the tool definition. Replace the input schema with PRX7 spec, adding source, subreddits, array, days back, max results. Okay. So yeah, when we had the first agent go through, it was basically supposed to put in the interface for what these things should look like. I saw that it kind of guessed at like what the tool definitions would look like. And I just let it do it, knowing that this version, once we got here, is going to likely have to modify that. So that's fine. So we've got error classes, tools, ExaSearch API error, ExaSearch configuration error, dig exa API key. Okay, so I need to modify that because I stored it actually as exa underscore API underscore key. I already preset these credentials inside my Rails configuration, so that's fine. We can modify that after. Domain mapping, yep. So subreddit targeting, prepend site subreddit 1 or 2 to query from source to Reddit. Date filtering. Okay, this all seems legit. Yep, basically everything it said before. Rewrite with full, yep. All right, yeah. Clear and accept auto edits. Over here. What is this one doing? So there's a little difference between two tools. One is the ExaSearch. It's basically a brand new implementation. Two, the YouTube one is actually referencing the Claude skill that I have, which has some Python scripts. And so it's actually referencing the code there to see what it was doing before. All right, that one's still searching. Let's see how this is going. So ExaSearch, so this is the tool. Yep. I could already see a bunch of stuff I don't love. Don't love that it's doing a bunch of class methods like this and then calling private class method. I don't love that the client is embedded inside of here. And that's fine. All right, we'll resolve that here. Okay, great. So it definitely didn't use my skill because it didn't actually do a code review either, from what I noticed. That's fine. All right, so before I tell it all of those things, let's see. I'm curious what a code review agent does. So have a sub agent perform a code review of these changes. Things to cover. Ensure we are following conventions in Claude D. Ensure we are following Rails 8 plus best practices. Ensure we are following Booter and Solid, etc. And this plan is still going. The other agent finished the entire tool. Granted, not the best. So yeah, we've been running Opus 4.6, which came out last week. I think it's been working fairly well. Nothing necessarily stood out to me this pass through, I think, outside of just how well the agent team worked. I think what I have seen interesting as of late is that I think it's because of Opus 4.6 is that Claude will sometimes enter plan mode on its own without you prompting it to do, which has been new. I have not seen that before. Okay, so now it says on the YouTube side, it has a clear picture, but it needs to design the plan. I'll be curious to see what the code review comes back with on this ExaSearch changes. Still planning over here. Let's see. So probably going to be wrapping up soon here for the evening. But let's see how I want to get through the code review of the exit search before I do wrap that up. And likely what I'll do is also get the plan file here for the YouTube tool, and then we can continue on that next week as kind of a starting point is finishing up the YouTube tool next week. Okay, so let's see. Here's the code review. Major issue, recreated on every call, yeah. Okay, I think there are bigger issues we need to address. So let's go git diff. First, actually, I'll put this in Vim mode over here. First, we are using a lot of class methods and private class method inside the tool. We should move to a pattern such as, and say, what's it called? Example, class, no, sorry. Module, tools, class, exit search, def self dot call. And what does call look like again? Params, new dot call, params. So that's one thing. Two, we've embedded the API client inside of the tool. This is breaking encapsulation and not following SRP. Make the client easier to test by extracting it to its own class. What else? Detect source include. What about this? 3, there must be a better way to do this. Bad. And let's see. All right. Let's start with that. Let's see what it says. All right, here's our YouTube plan. So PRX5 established the tool framework with stub. Yep. Plan, add the gem dependency. Is that the right gem? Ruby, YouTube API gem. That I don't believe is, yeah, no, it's not. This is the gem. So that's an incorrect gem. Plan has wrong gem. The gem is boom, and let's pass it the URL to the quick start Ruby. This guy's still thinking. Let's see. Good catch. I've updated the plan. Good. All right, so caught that in the plan. What else we got? Same thing about the tool thing. Yep. Also, though it came up with a different solution, what doesn't really matter which one does it. So here we are, app services. Okay, so this one's nice. So this one, at least, this instance of Opus has gone on a better route trajectory where it's extracting a separate client and not just shoving everything inside of the tool. So that's good. And specs models with webmock. Yep. Here we go. Yeah, this is a much more solid plan. I'm going to, I'll let it run. What is going on over here? Searching. Let's see. Control O. What do we see? Oh, interesting. So here's the thought. User wants 3 significant refactors. Let me think about the design. Yeah. For the instance method pattern. This is a common pattern. Yep. Now I'm planning, deciding where to place the client. Yep. For the base class pattern, I need to decide whether to update it. Okay. All right. It's thinking really hard about this. All right. So I see the whole picture, sub over its call. All right. Here we go. This is looking better. All right, great. How's our YouTube going? Great. So it added the gem. Cool. For examples, used it during install. Oh, what did that say? See the FAQ or README in or the yard docs. Okay. We better read that. Oh, installation page for alternative installation problems. Which client shall I use? Google provides 2 types of Ruby API clients, simple REST clients and modern clients. Okay, what does that mean? Libraries in this repo are simple REST clients. These clients connect to HTTP, JSON, REST endpoints and are automatically generated from the service discovery documents. They support most API functionality, but their class interfaces are sometimes awkward, of course. Modern clients are produced by Modern Code Generator combined with handcrafted functionality for some services. Most modern clients connect to a high-performance gRPC endpoint, although a few are backed by REST services. Modern clients are available for many Google services, especially cloud platforms, but do not yet support all. Okay. Most live in the Cloud Ruby repo. Okay. Got it. Okay, so maybe there was a... Oh. Is there actually a gem here? And that's what I was trying to use before? No, there's no YouTube one. Okay. So maybe it was guessing based off these that it thought there'd be a YouTube one. But it does not look like there is. All right. Anyway. Oops. All right, so that's the YouTube one going. Let's get this one. All right, so all clean. Here's a summary of the 3 refactors. Yep. Also simplified extract subreddit to a one-liner. All right, great. Did you run the tests? Yes, it looks like you did. Git status, git add in, git diff. All right, so let's take a look. All right, so we have an exit client inside of app clients. All right, that's fine. This makes sense. So it's setting the headers. That's good. All right, so this looks much better than what we had before. So that's good. If subreddit's not any, build subreddit query, okay. What did I just see a second ago? Oh, we're stuffing Rails credentials, okay, yep. not used to that. I'm used to stubbing like environment variables via like code climate control or something. Yep. Expect stubs to have been requested. Okay, so this seems better. Okay. I feel okay about that. Let's commit this and open a PR. Great. So I'm going to let that open a PR. I'm going to let this agent run. It's pretty much almost done, it looks like, on its own. So I think we're at a pretty good stopping point for tonight. We actually maybe have finished both of these tools together. So there's really one more tool to implement, but I think we can probably postpone. I can probably do that one offline. And instead, maybe next week, we can look at actually building the agent to put these tools to work, make some calls to Anthropic, and have some research done for us. So that'll be the plan for next week. Thanks for tuning in this evening, and hope to see you at the next one. Bye.